Hello, my name is Ashley Hinck, and I'm the author of Politics for the Love of Fandom, Fan-Based Citizenship in a Digital World, published by LSU Press. I'm an assistant professor of communication at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I teach and research about the internet, fandom, and politics. I'm excited to be doing a short remote reading with you all here today on Facebook Live, Facebook Watch. If you're interested in reading more after the reading, you can still get a copy of the book even though businesses are shut down due to stay-at-home orders. Many businesses are still shipping, including LSU Press. You can order the book directly from their website or from your favorite independent bookseller. The first section is from the introduction, titled Fan-Based Citizenship, Public Engagement for the Love of Harry Potter. On October 10th, 2005, a unique Amnesty International fundraiser took place in a basement theater in Somerville, Massachusetts. The event included performances of Harry Potter comedy skits, storyteller Brother Blue's exploration of the importance of stories and storytelling, and a musical performance by the band Harry and the Potters. At the end of the night, Andrew Slack, comedian, teacher, and Harry Potter fan, asked the crowd to help him form Dumbledore's Army for the Real World, and the Harry Potter Alliance, the HPA, was officially launched. Since that night, the Harry Potter Alliance has used parallels between the Harry Potter story and our world to engage in social justice activism focusing on equality, human rights, and literacy. Harry Potter Alliance co-founder Andrew Slack explained the motivation for the Harry Potter Alliance. Quote, "If Harry Potter was in our world, wouldn't he do more than celebrate the fact he is Harry Potter? Wouldn't he fight for justice in our world the way he did in his?" End quote. Inspired by the kind of social change Harry brought about in the fictional universe of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books, Slack envisioned the Harry Potter Alliance as Dumbledore's Army for the Real World. Since Harry and his friends can't be here with us to take action on genocide, climate change, and fair trade, Harry Potter fans have taken it upon themselves to fill that gap. And fans have answered Slack's call enthusiastically. Since 2005, the HPA has launched more than 40 campaigns, mobilized millions of Harry Potter fans, and organized more than 275 chapters in 25 countries around the world. Their activist work has taken many forms, including petitions, book drives, donations, flash mobs, boycotts, new voter registration, and letters to government officials. Now more than 10 years old and an officially registered nonprofit organization, the Harry Potter Alliance has demonstrated that its brand of activism is more than a fleeting fad or a silly game. Indeed, the Harry Potter Alliance has become a mainstay in online geek culture, with an important presence at fan conventions like GeekyCon and VidCon, earning coverage from major news outlets like The Daily Dot, The Mary Sue, Alternate, and Wired, and periodically finding itself receiving prominent coverage on sites like Reddit, Mashable, and BuzzFeed. But the Harry Potter Alliance has also gained significant attention beyond online geek culture. The HPA has been covered by mainstream news publications like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the New Yorker, Time Magazine, Guardian, Forbes, MTV, and People Magazine. Furthermore, Slack's work building the HPA has been recognized by major foundations like the Nathan Cummings Foundation and the Ashoka Foundation, both of which award fellowships to leading social entrepreneurs. The Harry Potter Alliance certainly doesn't look like other political organizations. Yet, it has succeeded in recruiting millions of Harry Potter fans for political campaigns that have had major impacts on circulating discourses, statewide issues, and media company policies through protests, letter writing, voter registration, phone banking, and more. This book takes these actions and the fans who participate in them seriously, asking what has enabled the emergence of these actions, how these actions work, what possibilities they open up, and what limitations they may bring. The Harry Potter Alliance is not alone in this kind of work. Many fan groups are enacting these kinds of citizenship performances. This book examines the many groups of fans who have used fandom to develop new public values, envision a different status quo, and find passion, enthusiasm, and commitment for public issues. Ultimately, I argue that these citizenship performances are powerful, productive, and more widespread than we may expect. I call these cases fan-based citizenship. That is, civic actions that are grounded in fan commitments, identities, experiences, practices. In these cases, citizens do political stuff because they are fans. So, for example, Harry Potter fans vote for Obama because that's what Harry Potter would do. Husker fans volunteer to mentor because that's what a good Husker does. These cases aren't unusual. Indeed, there are cases like them all over. In the book, I focus on 5 case studies in particular. In the section you just heard, you heard about the first case, the Harry Potter Alliance. The book also includes cases on the University of Nebraska football Husker team and their volunteer recruitment campaign, the Vlog Brothers YouTube project, the Project Harassum, which is a charity campaign, adult Lego fans and their environmental activism, working with Greenpeace, or paired up with Greenpeace, and Star Wars fans, UNICEF philanthropy. It is no accident that these kinds of civic actions have recently begun emerging. Since the late 1970s, major social, political, technological shifts have occurred, creating a world that is fluid, networked, and digital. Within this context, individuals can easily move among many institutions or groups. This fluidity of movement means that we have more choices than ever for the institutions and groups that guide our civic action. Even non-civic groups like Harry Potter fandom can become the foundation for civic action. In other words, civic actions are emerging from online fan communities. The next section I want to read is titled Digital Technologies Enable Community. The growth in visibility, accessibility, and size of fandoms in recent years is also due to technological developments. The development of networked computing, the precursor to the contemporary World Wide Web in the 1980s and 1990s, enabled communities to emerge across great geographic distances. Online communities developed and continue to develop around shared interests like fandom, as well as parenting, technology, religion, and the news. Writing about the Whole Earth Electronic Link, or WELL, founded in 1985, Howard Rheingold describes online communities as, quote, social aggregations that emerge from the net when enough people carry on those public discussions long enough with sufficient human feeling to form webs of personal relationships in cyberspace, end quote. Feelings of connection, belonging, and identity are just as much at the center of online communities as offline communities. But Rheingold cautions that you have to be careful to not mistake the tool for the task and think that just writing words on a screen is the same thing as real community, end quote. We make this error when we assume that the existence of a website or platform like Twitter or Facebook automatically signals the existence of online communities. Indeed, creating and sustaining online community takes work. It is not automatic or self-sustaining. Rhetoric and folklore scholar Rob Howard explains how online communities sustain themselves without geographic boundaries or anchors. Quote, unlike geographical communities, online communities are often based solely on the discursive behaviors that express these social relationships. Because they have no physical or geographic markers, online communities are radically dependent on the ongoing enactment of the shared expectations that are both witnessed and enacted by participants in discourse, end quote. Community emerges when members continually enact their community membership through discursive practices. Before the internet, fan communities like those that emerged around Star Trek were built using fanzines, homemade magazines that circulated through the Postal Service and face-to-face meetings at local clubs or fan conventions. However, participation in the community often depended on word of mouth, and fans were restricted by geographic location. The development of the internet made community building across geographic distance significantly easier for fans, and many fans enthusiastically adopted these new media technologies. Henry Jenkins points out that fans, quote, were often early adopters of new media platforms and practices. They were historically among the first to interact with geographically dispersed communities of interest, end quote. For example, Usenet listservs in the 1990s enabled soap opera fans to construct an online community for themselves, as Nancy Bain demonstrates. LiveJournal in the 2000s allowed fan fiction writers to easily construct an online community, easily share their stories, and find other fan fiction to read, as Karen Hellickson and Christina Boussat detail. Networked technologies have been essential to the robust development of fan communities in recent decades. And networked technologies continue to develop in new ways that allow fans to easily create media, share media, and construct and maintain community even across great geographic distance. These shifts, which have made fandom an increasingly important identity in our contemporary world, while also making fan activities easier to organize, host, and participate in, have laid the foundation for actions like the Harry Potter Alliances. Thanks in part to networked technologies, the Harry Potter Alliance has a large audience for its Harry Potter-themed civic agenda. Fan-based citizenship has emerged as a new mode of public engagement, in large part because of the development of networked technologies. This section seems particularly relevant as we are all attempting to shelter in place or stay at home. The current COVID-19 pandemic has prompted questions about how to move campaigning online and what our political communities and institutions might look like without face-to-face interaction, or with less of it. My book, Politics for the Love of Fandom, I think, helps us answer these questions, or I hope it does. It examines online communities that have become a rich polis in themselves, functioning as sources of our political values and enacting politics, all completely online. So if we're wondering what politics might look like in a time of pandemic-prompted social distancing, then I think we should look to long-standing online communities like Harry Potter and the Vlogbrothers. I want to end by reading a section from the conclusion. This section explores possible futures. What might fan-based citizenship look like in the years to come? Lastly, this book points to important implications for two possible futures of fan-based citizenship performances. One in which fan-based citizenship has a fuller role in electoral politics, and one in which media corporations co-opt fan-based citizenship performances. First, fan-based citizenship may be poised to be more fully integrated into electoral politics. The cases highlighted in this book represent the state of fan-based citizenship during 2010 to 2015, in which in most cases of fan-based citizenship were taken up by fans, charities, or media companies, rather than by elected officials or official political actors like PACs. Yet these cases have garnered increasing media attention and often have been wildly successful, making the fan-based citizenship approach attractive to officials working in campaigns and electoral politics. Cases like the Harry Potter Alliance, the Project for Awesome, and Teammates have enabled this shift. Fans, grassroots organizing, community building, and civic experimentation have provided the foundation for politicians' use of fan-based civic appeals. With this precedent set, we might be able to imagine a future in which Barack Obama doesn't just tacitly allow Nerds for Obama to continue to sell its Wizards for Obama t-shirts, but rather actively promotes Nerds for Obama and integrates it into his campaign. This may point to one possible future of fan-based citizenship, a fuller role for fan-based civic appeals in electoral politics. Whether politicians will use fan-based civic appeals to their fullest potential or reduce them to one-off, inauthentic gimmicks remains to be seen. But with fandom continuing to grow and increasingly finding mainstream traction and cultural cachet, fan-based citizenship performances are well positioned to become an increasingly important part of electoral politics in the future. A second possible future for fan-based citizenship is corporate appropriation. I opened the book with the story of the Harry Potter Alliance, an organization made up of fans who connected the ethical framework of Harry Potter with civic ethical modalities like fair trade. And I opened this conclusion with the story of an HPA chapter. Many of the HPA's campaigns point toward a productive future for fan-based citizenship performances. However, the HPA's Hunger Games campaign offers a cautionary tale, and offers that cautionary tale about corporate appropriation. On March 1st, 2012, the Harry Potter Alliance launched their Hunger is Not a Game campaign, the first campaign for their Imagine Better project. In partnership with Oxfam's Grow campaign, the Harry Potter Alliance called fans for the Hunger Games to help end hunger. At movie theaters during the premiere of the Hunger Games film, fans gathered signatures for Oxfam's petition to reform U.S. policies on international food aid and collected food for local food banks. But by March 23rd, Lionsgate, the company that produced the Hunger Games, had issued Oxfam a cease and desist notice. Lionsgate had started its own charity project tied to the release of the Hunger Games film, collecting donations for the United Nations World Food Program and Feeding America. Leah Cohen, Lionsgate's lawyer, asked Oxfam to remove any reference to the Hunger is Not a Game campaign. The letter claimed that the Hunger is Not a Game campaign infringed on Lionsgate's intellectual property, that the campaign distorted the title of the movie, and that the campaign was, quote, causing damage to Lionsgate in our marketing efforts, end quote. The Harry Potter Alliance and Oxfam decided not to acquiesce to any of the requests in the cease and desist letter. Soon after, a Hunger Games fan created a petition that stated support for the Hunger is Not a Game campaign. The petition quickly gained momentum, gathering more than 18,000 signatures. Soon after, the campaign received support from Eli Pariser, board president of MoveOn.org, and co-founder of Upworthy, as well as Judd Apatow, a well-known Hollywood director. In the end, Lionsgate backed down. But the story of the Hunger is Not a Game campaign illustrates the dangers of corporate appropriation of fan-based citizenship approaches. As fan-based citizenship performances continue to find success and impact major policies and discourses, it is inevitable that they will gain the attention of media companies like Lionsgate. Fan communities have traditionally found protection from corporate cease and desist letters by moving underground. But for fan-based citizenship performances, moving underground is not an option. The very success of these citizenship performances depends on publicity. Lionsgate's corporate appropriation of the HPA's Hunger is Not a Game campaign represents one possible future for fan-based citizenship performances, albeit a grim future. Hopefully, media companies will choose to support and partner with fan groups doing innovative civic projects rather than appropriating projects and suing fans. That's it for my reading today. Remember that LSU Press is still shipping orders. You can find out more about the book on LSU Press's website or on my website, ashleyhinck.com, and I'm always happy to connect on social media. You can find me on Twitter at Hinklet, Hinklet. Thanks so much, y'all.